guys, it's Kira and welcome to the first official reading vlog of 2022. In the last vlog you saw me absolutely scrambling to try and hit my 2021 reading goal by reading 7 books in 5 days. It was quite a challenge and we managed it on the very last day of the year, but gosh, at the end of that I was quite happy to close the chapter of 2021 reading and move on to a brand new clean slate. So this reading vlog is going to be all about making sure that I start this year's reading on a high. So with that in mind, I'm super excited to tell you that today's vlog has been very kindly sponsored by Book of the Month, which is going to make choosing an incredible book to start this year so much easier. I'm really excited to be working with Book of the Month again because they are such an incredible book subscription service whose mission is all about connecting readers with new authors, debut novels and stories that their readers are absolutely going to love. And I'm always in the market for finding new authors that I might not have otherwise come across and new novels that I haven't heard anyone talking about, and this is such an incredible way to continually expand your reading repertoire without having to do too much research and take too much time out of your own life to find those books and novels, because I do really think it can be tricky to know where to start when it comes to finding new authors, but Book of the Month takes all that stress out of it from you. And the way that this book subscription service works is that each month the Book of the Month team take hundreds and hundreds of upcoming and new release titles and come up with the collection of the absolute best titles for their readers. Then as a member you are sent the shortlist and you can choose whichever book sounds best to you that month, and it just arrives to you in a beautiful blue box ready for you to dive in and enjoy. So no stress on your part and you get a brand new book ready to dive in, which I think is wonderful. However, it is totally risk-free, so if there's ever a month where this collection of books doesn't take your fancy and there's not one that you think you're going to enjoy, or you just don't think you're going to have enough time for reading that month, you can skip that month completely free of charge and then just pick it right back up again the next month. All of the books are either completely brand new or even early releases, so you are getting a brand new hardback every single month, and it is the best price out there on the market for hardbacks. So this month, if you would like to join Book of the Month, you can get a brand new book from their collection for only $9.99 when you use the code LET'S-GO and follow the link in my description box down below. So I personally think Book of the Month is wonderful all year round, but if you're wanting to start something new this year and you want to kickstart your reading year on a high, then why not try it out this month by using that code LET'S-GO and following the link down below to get a brand new hardback for $9.99. So moving on to the book that I'm going to be diving into, the Book of the Month collections. The hardest part is always choosing which one you want because they're always so good, and they also just have the most incredible covers because they look so bright and bold, and clearly that's what I'm feeling today with this yellow jumper. Now, although they all sound incredible, I personally find myself gravitating towards the thrillers and the romances, and I think partially that's because they sound incredible, and partially that's because when it comes to book shopping, thrillers and romances are two of the biggest sections, and so it can be really daunting to find new books in there, whereas Book of the Month bring them right there to you, which is wonderful. So the thriller and romance of this month are the two books that I'm going to be trying to read in this vlog. The thriller is Reckless Girls, which is an Agatha Christie retelling, and it sounds absolutely wonderful. I'll just read you the very end of it because it just sounds so intriguing, and it says, with its island gothic sensibility, sexy suspense and spine-tingling reimagination, an Agatha Christie classic, Reckless Girls will wreck you. Now that sounds wonderful. It's set on an island and it sounds delightful and terrifying all at once, so I'm really excited to dive into this one. And then the romance I'm going to be digging into is Love and Other Disasters by Anita Kelly, which I'm almost certain I'm going to love because last month's romance, The Holiday Swap, was all about a TV chef or pastry chef, and she was like baking on a TV show, and it was all about romance and baking and all of those good things. This one sounds very similar. So it says, Dahlia Woodson's culinary dreams are coming true. Sure, her marriage ended in a hideous explosion of misery and she's quit her job for the gamble of a lifetime, but she's finally a contestant on the cooking show Chef Special. Now all Dahlia has to do is not fall on her face more than once, make the best food of her life, and try not to get distracted by her hot, incredibly dishy competition. That sounds incredible and I can't wait to dive in. So two very different books in terms of like where they fall on the happy spectrum. One is going to be quite dark and one is going to be lots of fluff, but I'm really excited to dive into both, and I think these are the perfect way to kick off my reading year. So that is what we have going on. It's currently Sunday afternoon and I have absolutely no plans, so it's going to be me and a couple of good books. Let's do it. morning guys, it is clearly the next day. Last night I ended up having a really delicious cosy dinner, watching some TV and then getting an early night because it was Sunday after all. But today is my last day off of work before going back after Christmas and I'm intending to do lots and lots of reading today. I did make a start on Reckless Girls. I decided to kickstart my reading year with this one because it just sounded so intriguing. While the romance is definitely high up on my list, I felt like that one was going to be a little bit more predictable, whereas with this book I wasn't quite sure what I was getting myself in for and that really made me want to read it. So I'm glad that I did because I'm now on page 85 and it is so interesting and already so intense, and I'm only probably about a third of the way through. We started off the book in Hawaii with a character called Lux. She is there with her boyfriend and they're basically trying to renovate a boat so that they can go and travel the world, and whilst they're working in Hawaii and trying to build up the money in order to like renovate their boat and everything, they bump into two girls who basically try to commission them to take them off sailing to this very specific island, which is the one that's kind of referenced in the blurb that I read to you yesterday. And then we have back and forth between the present day narrative and then the past, and we're seeing things from all the different characters' perspectives, and I am intrigued to say the least. There is lots going on that seems as though there is more than meets the eye with these characters, and there are definitely darker things going on beneath the surface, and I genuinely cannot wait to see what happens. They're currently out at sea, so in a very like enclosed scenario, and I think things are going to get very exciting. So suffice it to say, I'm really loving this book so far and I'm super glad that I did decide to start with this one, and I'm hoping to maybe finish it today because, as I said, it's my last day off of work, so I might as well try and get some good reading done. But before I dive into all of the reading for the day, I'm actually heading out to go meet Em for a coffee and some breakfast, which I'm very excited about because we haven't seen each other in absolutely ages. Kind of ironic because we do live in the same city, but I think we both started new jobs in the kind of like autumn time of last year, and then things got super busy and we haven't had a coffee and catch up for absolutely ages. So very excited for that, and also very excited to get some tasty food. So off we go. I'm now just over 140 pages into Reckless Girls, so I think I've just read about another 80 pages since this morning, and this book is so mysterious and intriguing. You have the mystery of knowing that something dark is about to go down on this island, because that is what the book is all about, and that's kind of what the blurb leads you to understand. But then what was unexpected is the added mystery of all of the different characters' backstories that we're getting gradually, and I absolutely love that. We all know I love multiple perspectives, I love multiple timelines. This book has both, and we also have multiple mysteries, so really, on paper, which books tend to be, this is like the ideal type of book for me because it's just so intriguing. It also feels very, very much like the movie The Beach with Leonardo DiCaprio. I know that is also based on a book, but I haven't actually read that book yet. But the movie just has this like almost uncanny vibe of being on an island that feels picture perfect, but you know that things can't always be as they seem, and something that looks as perfect as that island has to have something that kind of like balances the odds out, and that's exactly how this feels. You just get the sense that there's something darker around the corner, but you don't know what it is or how it's going to turn out. We also have a group of people who at first, you know, it seems as though they're all great friends and they're having a wonderful time, but is it going to last? Probably not. So very excited to see where it goes. Nothing too dark has happened yet, but I kind of like that because it's just adding that inevitability to the story, and just like the build up of what you know is going to come just makes the payoff, I think, even more exciting. So definitely going to be reading some more of this as the afternoon goes on, but I just wanted to check in with you because I'm probably exactly halfway in now, so there's a lot still to happen, I'm sure, and I can't wait to see what it is.
Child, I know you're hurt and you your fault and you don't deserve all the bad and the hurt. I know you tried so hard. I know you've done your part. It's not fair. You did your time. How much longer will you suffer in this life? But don't give up. Just hold on tight. It'll be alright. All your life you've tried to be a good man inside. Did everything that you thought you should. Didn't seem to do you any good. I know you've tried so hard. I know you've done your part. It's not fair. You did your time. How much longer will you suffer in this life? But don't give up. Just hold on tight. It'll be alright. I know you tried so hard. I know you've done your part. It's not fair. You did your time. How much longer will you suffer in this life? But don't give up.
I don't think I'd exactly want to say that this book was a slow burn, because I feel like that kind of has a negative connotation and it doesn't feel quite right in terms of describing this book. But what it has had is a very, very gradual increase of tension, mystery, and just like uncomfortableness in a way that makes it just like gradually have a chokehold on you as the reader, because you start it, it's quite casual, you're like, yeah, this is a good book, I'm enjoying it, and then you start getting further in, and before you know it, you literally don't want to put it down because it's just so intriguing. I am now on page 267 and I do not want to stop reading, and I have to, which I'm so sad about, because today is Tuesday and it's my first day back at work after Christmas. So I've just been doing some lunchtime reading and I've just come to the end of my lunch break, and I desperately want to know what happens because I've probably only got about 30 pages until the end of the book. I've really not got far to go, but it has just gotten to the most dramatic part of the book so far, and all of the tension and mystery that has been building and building throughout the rest of the novel is starting to come to its like dramatic conclusion, and I want to know what happens, and I am so upset to have to stop right here because it just feels so cruel that I have led myself down this path only to just cut my experience short for the work day. But I'm back at work, and although, you know, I have enjoyed my Christmas break, I'm quite happy to be back at work, and I've certainly got a lot to be getting on with. And whilst I'm sat inside so I can't actually enjoy the weather, I'm looking outside now at a very like blue skies, crisp winter day, which is making sitting at my desk a lot less like depressing because it doesn't feel grey and sad, and it just feels nice. So I'm having a great day, and this evening this book and we've got a date. But for now, back to work. The office calls me and I'll catch up with you later, but I just wanted to let you know how intensely invested I am in Reckless Girls because it's so good. Well, I think it's safe to say mission accomplished, because I started out this reading vlog hoping to find a book that would allow me to kickstart my reading year on a high, and this book was the absolute perfect choice. I finished it last night and have just been ruminating on how wonderfully mysterious it was ever since. I just absolutely loved this book from start to finish, and I feel like it got better with every unfolding page of mystery, and I, for one, loved it. And I'm so glad that it was in the Book of the Month box this month, because quite frankly I'd not heard of it, I'd not come across it anywhere, it wasn't really on my radar, but I'm so glad that it made its way into my universe because I think it was incredible. I also think that it's a great book to go for if you like the idea of thrillers but you don't like thrillers that sort of transgress too much into the horror genre and are very gory and like violent. This book has elements of gore and violence in it, but for the most part it's like quite a gradual building of mystery and intrigue and darkness. There's a definite air of darkness right throughout, but the actual action doesn't kick off until quite close to the end of the book, so it's not like that overtakes the entire narrative, and you really do have just such a wonderfully dark atmosphere. And I think that's probably the way that I'd describe this book best, is the way that it is just so wonderfully atmospheric that you're just pulled into this world of like a tropical island with something gone wrong, and it's wonderful. I loved it. So very, very glad to have started out my reading year with this one, and I'm hoping that this is going to be the sign of more books like this to come, because I really do love these types of thrillers. Other ones like this that I would recommend are both of Lucy Foley's novels, The Hunting Party and The Guest List, because they are again just so atmospheric and dark and absolutely gripping, and this felt very much like that, and I haven't come across another book that gave me the same atmosphere as her, so I'm really glad to have a new author on my radar. So that's going to bring the reading vlog to an end, but before we do, I thought it would be fun to talk a little bit about goals, seeing as it is the new year. So seeing as I was just talking about reading and I've ticked off book number 1 of the year, I thought I'd just clarify that my reading goal for this year remains the same as it has for the last few years. I'm aiming for 75 books this year. It seems like a nice solid goal where it's definitely a challenge and I always end up having to chase it at the end of the year, but it is also definitely achievable, whereas for me 100 or even more than 100 just probably isn't going to happen. So 75 books is my reading goal for this year, and I would love to know yours. If you haven't shared it with me already, just leave a comment down below, because I think it's so much fun just to see what everyone is going for and what everyone's goals are and how they're challenging themselves this year. So 75 books is one goal. Another goal of mine is to like have a bit more fun with movement. So towards the end of last year I started doing some things like going climbing just for fun, nothing too serious, going back swimming, maybe doing a bit more yoga, and I'm just sort of trying to like have fun with movement and be as active as I can without putting too much pressure on it. I go to the gym every day, so I do really like the gym, but it's also nice to have other things and other forms of movement just to diversify things a bit. And I used to do yoga every day, then I became a yoga teacher, started teaching, and then after I stopped teaching because we moved house and I wasn't connected with any studios, I kind of stopped yoga altogether, which I'm really sad about, and so are my hamstrings because they're less flexible now by a long shot. But I really want to sort of get back into those types of movements and just sort of like moving my body and having fun and seeing what happens. So that is another goal of mine, and my third goal of the year is trying to prioritise learning a language, and specifically learning German. I've talked about this a few times on this channel, but I used to put a lot of time and effort into learning German. I was going to evening classes, and then I did some additional modules alongside my main degree in German to help me learn a little bit more. But then after graduating, which is like 3 years ago now, I stopped communicating with other people who were learning the language, and my progress dipped massively. And of course I started a full-time job, I was doing YouTube, and it just wasn't as much of a priority, but I'd like to make it a bit more of a priority again. So those are some of my goals. Don't want to call them resolutions because I'm not like committed to I must do this or everything will go wrong, but I am sort of like hoping to prioritise those few things this year. So if you have any goals, I'd love to hear about them, reading or otherwise, and if you have any thoughts on New Year's resolutions, whether you like them, whether you hate them, I'd love to hear that as well. So with that said, I think I will bring this reading vlog to an end. Just an extra reminder that this video was sponsored by Book of the Month, and if you would like to follow the link in my description box and use the code Let's Go, you can get your first Book of the Month pick for only $9.99. And with that said, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.